AP Human Geography 2.1 Population Distribution. So prerequisite terms are population distribution, which is the pattern of where people live in a region. Immigration, which is coming into an area as a permanent resident. Emigration, which is leaving an area as a permanent move. Arable land is land that can be used to grow crops. Acumen is inhabited land occupied by people. And carrying capacity is the population an area can support without significantly harming the environment. A carrying capacity is different per region. Let's get started with densities. So one density is arithmetic density. This is going to be the total amount of people in an area divided by the total amount of land. You can find arithmetic density in all regions as small as a house or as big as the world. The next type of density is physiological density, which is the total amount of people divided by the total amount of arable land in an area. Remember, arable land is area used to grow crops. Physiological density is better to determine a country's carrying capacity. The bigger the difference between physiological and arithmetic density, the more of a need a region might have for crop yields or food imports from other countries. Alright? So if the physiological density is a lot higher than the arithmetic density, then that country is probably going to need crop yields or food imports to support that population. Here's an FRQ practice, comparing arithmetic and physiological density. Here we have a table with two countries, country A and country B. It shows the arithmetic density and physiological density for each country. Looking at the table above, describe where the food the population eats comes from countries A and B. Pause the video to write this down. Alright, let's view the answer. Country A has a high difference between physiological and arithmetic density, so food most likely comes from imports or crop yields. However, country B has a lower difference, so most of their food is probably grown. The reason this answer is correct is because you can see country A has a higher arithmetic and physiological density difference rather than country B, which is not that big of a difference. The next type of density, and the final one you're supposed to know, is agricultural density, which is the total amount of farmers divided by arable land in a region. The more developed a country is, the lower the agricultural density is generally going to be. There may be a few exceptions to this, but this is how it generally goes. Agricultural density can tell us if arable land is being used in a region. Multiple choice question practice. Which of the following countries most likely has a higher agricultural density? Pause the video if you need more time, and try to keep this under a minute to prepare for the exam in May. The correct answer is A, Niger. B, C, and D are pretty developed countries, so that's automatically going to rule them out. So we're just left with A and E. Now, when you prepare for the exam, you're supposed to kind of know what areas have higher population. When you get further advanced into the course, you'll figure out how to tell that. So that's going to rule out E, Kenya, and then we're going to have A, Niger, because it's the less developed country out of all of these countries. So that's going to give it generally a higher agricultural density. As you can see, the question said most likely. What factors determine population density? So we have physical factors. Let's start with those. Those are going to be mountains, ocean, and climate. Okay? So mountains, that might determine like where people are going to be spread out, because mountains take up a lot of space. Some people don't like to move to mountainous regions. It can be cold up in the mountains. The ocean can determine if people want to live there. Generally, people like to live close to the ocean. There's probably going to be more jobs near there, more diversity, and overall more people. And being more people can also mean a whole different ball game of opportunities. And then climate. Maybe if you want to go grow crops or want to set up a business somewhere that requires you to be in a higher or lower or just a medium type climate. That's going to determine population density. Now we also have human factors like economics, history, political views in government, and cultural and social views. Economics like not job opportunities, incomes. That's going to be one economics. Because if there's a lower income area, the population density might be higher. It also might be lower. History. Do you want to move into a country that has a very high history in the past 50 years of war with other countries? Maybe for petty reasons or for reasons that are made by the citizens, like a civil war. Political views in government. Maybe you don't agree with how the government is run in a country. This may be not as common as a lot of the other human factors, but this certainly does impact migration. And then we have cultural and social views. Maybe someone in an area majority people in an area view something differently than you do, and this is how the area is run or enjoyed. This can be used for like a neighborhood. Maybe you just don't like the feel of the neighborhood. Maybe you don't like the people in the neighborhood, so you go somewhere else. Neighborhoods influence population density too, you know. Push factors. Factors that push you away from migrating to a place. Examples of these are going to be less job opportunities, natural disasters, type of governments in developments. Alright? You probably don't want to move to a less developed country. You're probably going to have a lower income and then a higher amount of money to buy stuff. Less job opportunities. You're going to need a job to support yourself. So less job opportunities would really push you away from migrating to a place. Natural disasters. This may push you away from a lot of places because it's going to make you go out of your way some parts of the year. People leave Florida in the United States because there's hurricanes. People leave Japan maybe because of earthquakes. People get away from the Midwest of the United States because of tornadoes. And then we have type of governments, which we kind of discussed earlier, which could push people away from migrating to a place. There's so many different factors that can determine migration to push you away. So these are just a few examples. Now we have pull factors, which is the opposite of push factors. These factors pull you towards migrating to a place. Some examples are going to be job opportunities, closeness to the ocean, free healthcare, better education. Now these two, closeness to the ocean and free healthcare, what some may consider to be a pull factor, others may find it to be a push factor. So when you're reading a multiple choice question on an exam, specifically the AP exam, because that one counts the most, they may say what pull factor mostly influence migration. And if they have closest to ocean and job opportunities, go to job opportunities. That one mostly will influence migration more than closest to ocean. Because some people want to be away from the ocean. Like I said with Florida earlier, there are hurricanes. Hurricanes come from the ocean. Free healthcare. Some people are against free healthcare. Some people are for it, though, because it may be cheaper. It depends on a scenario-by-scenario basis. Multiple choice question practice. Which of the following is most likely a push factor for Miami, Florida? Alright, pause the video if you need more time to answer the question, and try to keep this under a minute to prepare for the exam. Now, the correct answer is D, high crime rates. As you can see, the question said most likely to be a push factor. So, that's going to eliminate A and C. Beachy areas, which is basically closest to ocean, and then warmer temperatures. Generally, most people like the warmer areas. There's just more to do, and you can't be snowed in and drawn away from going a place. Florida International University and ethnic diversity, those both have diversity in there. University means that there's education. People are getting, smarter. And then ethnic diversity, most people are for diversity. People do different things of different groups. And then, of course, high crime rates, push factor. This one's a pretty simple answer. It's a high crime rate. No one wants to be in an area with a high crime rate unless you're committing crime, I guess. Factors at different scales of analysis. Determining where to migrate to can change when you look at different scales of analysis. I did not type that out right at all. An example would be, you're migrating to North America from Japan because of job opportunities. You want to stay near the western part to be closer to home. You dislike extreme cold and extreme heat and are hoping to find a job in computer science that pays well. You start looking at different scales of analysis of North America, and then you determine your destination. Here we go. We have a map of North America. Now, he said he wants to stay closer to home, so he wants to be on the western region. Let's get rid of the middle and eastern region. Now, he also says he hates extreme hot and cold temperatures. So let's get rid of cold temperatures, basically Canada up to Alaska. He says he hates extreme hot temperatures. Let's get rid of some of the southern United States near Arizona and Nevada and all of Mexico. Now, he said he wants a job in computer science, or you want a job in computer science. As you know, in San Francisco, San Mateo, those areas, there's a lot of IT and computer technology. All those jobs there. That's basically the technology capital of the United States. So we're going to decide there. The pull factors, pull him toward there, is 1. There's already a bunch of technical jobs there for technology. 2. It's closer to home. You're on the West Coast. 3. You're not in extreme hot and extreme cold temperatures. It's going to be generally warmer in San Francisco, but there's still going to be days that it'll be cold. You'll have to put on a coat. Alright, so what are the most populous regions? The most populous region in the world is East Asia. We have China there. China has the most people in the world. That kind of influences that. Number 2 is South Asia. We have India in South Asia. That's the second most populous country in the world. 3, we have Europe. There are a lot of countries in Europe. So when you add up the populations for all those countries, it's going to put you at number 3 for the most populous region in the world. And then the fourth one, which I didn't spell right, is Southeastern Asia. We have stuff like the Philippines, Indonesia, Vietnam. Those have high populations as well. They're also bigger areas too, so there's more room for a higher population. What are the most populous regions again? So you can see here, like I said earlier, China, which is in East Asia, is number 1. India, which is in South Asia, is number 2. You can see how their big population influences what region which they are in is in for the most populous region. You can see Southeast Asia, Indonesia, is in number 4. Now look at number 3. It's the United States, 329 million. That has more than Indonesia. But North America isn't considered one of the most populous regions. Why is that? Like I said earlier, Europe has a bunch of countries. These populations can be considered high. So when you add them up together, it's going to go over the amount that North America, the region, has. And then we have Pakistan, which is in South Asia, which adds up to India. Multiple choice question practice. Which of the following countries has a higher economic development, but lower population? A. India. B. China. C. Switzerland. D. United States. And E. Vietnam. Pause the video if you need more time. Try to keep this under 60 seconds to prepare for the exam. The correct answer is C. Switzerland. So, higher economic development, but lower population. So, India, China, United States, they're gone. Now, higher economic development. Vietnam, communist country, those countries, North Korea, Cuba, don't necessarily have the highest economic development. So that's already leading me towards Switzerland. Now, Switzerland is in Europe. Europe's countries are very developed. So that's going to lean you towards Switzerland. If you have other factors, that's great. Those 2 factors should immediately get you to choose Switzerland. You might have some doubts about it, but that's the correct answer. Wrap up. We've learned methods geographers use to calculate population density. Arithmetic, physiological, agricultural. Different methods of population density reveal different information. We learned different physical and human factors influence population density, and that different factors at different scales of analysis determine migration. There's a scale check in the description below, a doc file that you can use. It's 5 questions, and you can determine how well that you know the material. There are some other videos I'm going to link in the description that I do not have, that I did not make technically, that if you want to learn more on the topic. These go maybe a little more in depth than I do. There might be a topic or 2 that I didn't cover. Well, thank you so much for watching. If you want to go to 2.2, the link will be in the description down below.